She does that to me all the time too. I'll give you a bit. I'll give you a little bit space this time.
Morning all. Councillors, directors, ladies and gentlemen. The traditional custodians of this wonderful place we call home have represented a human connection dating back almost 60,000 years. And in our valley, that's the Yuwi people. So when we come together as a council and as a community, we pay our respects to the traditional custodians and honour their elders, past, present, and those emerging. Welcome to our ladies and gentlemen, the public gallery today. Just draw your attention to the top right hand of our screens there. We're recording this, and in accordance with council standing orders, it will be streamed live and recorded. So anything you may say will be recorded, of course, and recorded as part of the council's agenda and published online. Welcome to our online audience as well. And I think that's it. So I declare the meeting open. Thank you very much. And we have all our prayers today. Pastor Colin Hardy. Pastor Colin Hardy, thank you very much. I think this is your second time here.
Welcome. I have apologies from Pastor Jai Wright, who got in touch with me yesterday. He's still down in the Gold Coast and he couldn't get back, so he asked me to fill in.
Thanks very much, Colin.
And before I pray, I'd just like to acknowledge the passing of our Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, and just note what an outstanding example, exemplary example of dignified leadership that she was for us all. Let's pray. Our eternal Heavenly Father, we thank you for this group of people, the leaders of our community that are gathered together here in this room today. We just want to acknowledge again the passing of our Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, and we also want to lift before you our King, King Charles III, and pray that you would guide and bless him in the future that he has prepared almost a lifetime for. And right now, Father, we just commit these proceedings into your hands. We pray that the leaders of this magnificent Mackay community that we have will continue to make wise decisions as they work together to lead us forward into the future. And so we do that, as I said, committing this time into your hands, and thank you in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Pastor Colin. Thank you very much. We have a leave of absence request. There's nobody absent on council business. We have a leave of absence request for Councillor Dillon. Somebody like to move, but Councillor Mann moves, seconded by Councillor Hassel. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Councillors, it is appropriate that council actually recognises the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. As a constitutional monarchy, Australia, of course, has had a Queen as sovereign and our head of state for over 70 years. And as part of the Westminster system, which all our government in Australia is modelled on, the framework of state, federal, extends down to local government. And the Queen's presence in our local government has been obvious at every council meeting of this Mackay Regional Council and all of the other councils in our region for over 70 years, due to the fact that all of our chambers have displayed a presence via the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Queen also visited Mackay on two occasions, 1954 and 1970, something which many of our locals really do remember quite fondly. Although I was a bit too young in 54, but no, I didn't get an invite to the 1971. But I ask your indulgence, councillors, to deviate from our standard procedures and protocols today to undertake a minute's silence in remembrance of Queen Elizabeth II, and then I'd like to formally resolve council's condolences. So are you happy with that process?
Yes.
Would you like to stand and we'll observe a minute's silence later? Thank you, councillors. I'd like to formally move that Mackay Regional Council officially records its condolences on the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, and that I as Mayor formally record Council's position by way of a message of condolence in the Queensland Government's online condolence book. Have a second? Councillor May seconds. Would anybody like to speak to that condolence motion? Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Worship, and fully endorse our condolences being sent. But I would like to take this opportunity to make mention that our own resident, Pete Payne VC, has been one of the 10 Australians invited to travel to England to be part of the funeral procession and be part of the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. So that's a great honour for Mackay and a great honour for Keith, and I just publicly like to acknowledge that.
Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. And I think we should encourage all of our local residents to record their own personal message of condolence by jumping onto the state government's website. The Queensland Government's condolence book can be found on the Queensland Government's website. It's pretty easy to find, and I'd encourage councillors to do that as well. Thanks, councillors. There's no...
Your Worship, I have another condolence.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Another condolence? Yes.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I just wanted to acknowledge the passing of a lady by the name of Olive Prout. Olive was born on the 13th of February, happens to be my birthday, by the way, in 1928. She passed away recently at age 94, and she was well known in the local area of Finchatton, where the family farm was. Some of Olive's accomplishments are as follows. In 2001, she was awarded the International Year of Volunteer. 2004, she was awarded the Rotary Service Community Award. In 1993, and the reason I'm bringing this to you, Your Worship, is she was awarded the Citizen of the Year Award. And some of the places that she's volunteered in the Mackay area was the Red Cross. She was, as a lifeline counsellor, and also with Legacy over the years. She loved her arts and craft. She was married in St Paul's Uniting Church, and it was fitting that she departed from that beautiful church recently. So may she rest in peace, Your Worship, and another soul gone from us.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Well said. Are there any other condolences? Okay, let's move on. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest to declare today? Confirmation of the minutes of the 24th of August. The ordinary meeting of the 24th of August have been circulated as part of this agenda. Would somebody like to move their adoption? Councillor Green moves, seconded by Councillor Hassan. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. There's no mayoral minutes. Let's move on to the consideration of committee reports and recommendations of the Audit Committee meeting of the 25th of August. The minutes have been included in this agenda. Are there any questions? I think you should note, CEO, that the Audit Committee are going to look in December at risk areas, in particular of cyber security and capital works. So I think I was the only elected member that in a voting right there, so I'll move, if there's no questions, I'll move the adoption of the minutes of the meeting of the 25th of August. So seconded by Councillor Hassan. If there's no other, I don't need to speak to it. I think it's pretty well straightforward. There's no other speakers to the motion. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. Office of the Mayor and CEO report 11.1.1, the monthly review for August 2022. CEO.
Thank you, Your Worship. There are no lost time injuries for the month of August. However, we do record 56 incidents involving employees, contractors and members of the public. This is demonstrating a great reporting culture, as staff are proactively reporting incidences, including near misses. Each are followed up with corrective actions put in place to limit the chance of recurrence. During the month, we received just over $1.4 million in external grant funding. A large component of this, $534,000, was from the state for a refurbishment of the stadium, and this will include things like lighting upgrades, CCTV and fencing, replacement of seating and kitchen flooring. Finally, we are coming to the end of the first quarter of the new financial year quite quickly now, And our performance and risk team have been very busy across the month of August implementing our refreshed reporting frameworks and progressing our risk planning. Thank you. Happy to take questions.
Thanks, CEO. Councillors, I think you should note that there's an alteration of the words of this report at 6.2, which is the short report on the Regional Queensland Council of Mayors. You need to remove, it will be removed in the minutes, but to remove the mention of Andrew Wilcox in that area. So, are there questions for the CEO? No questions for the CEO. Somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor May moves, seconded by Councillor Green. Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Just like to highlight a couple of things out of the report. Firstly, our Council in Community Day recently held, where we visited the Indigenous Student Engagement Officer at Central Queensland University. While we were there, we had a tour of the high performance gym. And then we went over to Split Spaces and met with a couple of the directors of Split Spaces and had a tour of that facility. We then went on to meet with the Community Accommodation and Support Agency, commonly known as CASA, and it was a very enlightening discussion around the services that they provide to our community, particularly in the homelessness and housing area. And that support is vital for the people in our region and our Mackay community. And then we had a very good inspection of the River Street Revitalisation Project at number 8 River Street. So it was good to be on the ground and viewing the work that's been undertaken there. I'd just also like to mention the 269 matters that our legal counsel is dealing with. And as we know that legal expenses can get out of hand quite easily, and particularly if we're having to engage outside lawyers, and it's really great to see that our team, our very small team, but they are managing those legal matters for us. Our external grant funding of nearly just over $1.4 million, and the CEO highlighted some of those areas there where we've been able to obtain funding. It is vital that we continue to be able to realise and get those fundings from other levels of government, as that takes the burden off our ratepayers in having to fund some of those projects. The corporate performance and planning reporting, it's great to see that the fourth quarter operational report has now been finalised and closed out, enabling us now to focus on the current financial year. And it's great to see that the refreshed corporate performance planning and reporting frameworks are being developed with just the program, the individual plan levels yet to be finalised. So risk management is always an area of great concern and great interest to the council, and it's great to see that the officers are doing a fantastic job in that area, and will be presenting the risk management framework to a future meeting. And I think that's just about it. Oh, no, I just wanted to, just one more thing, I wanted to highlight really the internal audit team, and we've seen the minutes of the internal audit committee meeting. The amount of work that goes into preparation of those reports, we had a number of reports, we had a number of investigations happening throughout the month, and they're a small team as well, and I just wanted to say what a great job that they've been doing.
Yeah, thanks very much, Councillor May. Speaker against? Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried unanimously. Okay, 11.1.2, the conference attendance at Sustainable Trails Conference from the 1st to the 3rd of November in Tasmania. CEO, there's an adjustment to the resource implications in this report. Outline it. Yes, please.
Yes, there is, Your Worship. I'd just like to highlight that the report currently states that the cost is $2,500. The cost will actually be approximately $2,850 per person. I just wanted to highlight that will be corrected for the minutes.
Okay, are there questions around this? Pretty well straightforward, but are there questions? Councillor Bonacura.
Yes, Your Worship. And thank you for making that adjustment. I did sort of struggle when I read that. I thought that sounds a bit... Yeah, when you work it out, it's about 11,400 to send the 4 councillors. So just wanted to ask, are we doing any sponsorship of this event in any way?
CEO.
Yes, we are. We have provided $4,000 of sponsorship to the event, which does actually provide us with 1 free ticket and a number of other benefits in terms of acknowledgement throughout the course of the conference.
And just to finish off, how many staff are we sending with councillors to this event?
We're sending 3 staff that will all receive some benefit from the how we maintain and operate the tracks once they're available to the public.
Thank you.
Further questions? Councillor England.
Can I ask the programs from which the staff will be coming from? Which programs will the staff represent?
Celia, do we know that?
It's economic development and capital works and parks. Sorry, we do have some of the parks as well.
Thank you.
Further questions? No further questions? So it's pretty well straightforward in terms of the recommendation that we approve Councillor Green, Councillor Hassan, Councillor Engler, Councillor Seymour's attendance at the Sustainable Trials Conference 2022 in Tasmania, 1 through 3 November. Somebody like to move? Councillor Jones moves, seconded by Councillor Mann. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. I'm always a person that's trying to look for that, dollar that we can save, but this project is extremely important to not only us as a council, but our community. So, it's pleasing to hear that we have our staff members coming from 3 different areas within council, and I know that the councillors that have put their hand up to go all have a very keen interest in particular across our sports, our tourism, etc., etc. So, I'm more than happy to move this motion and send our councillors on the way. Looking forward to getting that report back, as always, to see what information we can get back to make our mountain bike track the best in the world. So thank you
very much. Councillor Jones, speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Engler speaking for.
Thank you, Worship. Initially, when this opportunity came across Council's desk, it looked like it was significantly operational and there was no need for councillors to attend. However, as the details of the program have come out, I've got to say I'm very pleased that we're sending 3 officers. If I had my way, and I don't, I'd be sending more. This is potentially the biggest economic project this region's seen in 2 decades, outside of the PDA, and so with the opportunity to participate in planning and trail events, this mountain bike trailhead that we're building isn't unique in the world. It's in competition with other projects, but it is unique in it is between 2 trail towns. There's potential to have significant national and international competition, and that's one of the bedrocks of council's capital investment in the project, is that this is not a recreational facility, this is an economic driver, and to make sure it yields the visitation that we want to see, it has to be successful in events, and it has to be successful in ensuring that the trails are maintained to a high level, otherwise nobody will come. So yes, it's a larger than normal cost to send councillors and staff, but like I said, it is a significant economic opportunity for this region, and I personally believe it's worth the expense to ensure that we get best bang for buck out of this project in the future.
Yeah, thanks very much, Councillor Engler. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Bonaventura, you're speaking
For the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Your Worship, if this was simply to be a mountain bike conference that we were going to, I think I wouldn't be speaking for the motion. It is also there to cover things like rail trails, walking trails, and other events like that. And I think that's the other thing we need to really be looking at. And I ask councillors to really look deeply into those options that are out there, because our mountain bike track is eventually going to be our signature project, we hope. But in the meantime, there's possibility of spending, for a small return, money in other areas and gaining an immediate response. So I ask councillors to keep their ears and eyes open and see what else is out there as part of this conference.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bonaventura. Other speakers? Councillor Green speaking for.
Yes, thank you. So the Sustainable Trails Conference it'll provide an opportunity for council and councillors to learn from an array of speakers and presentations, to meet and network with industry representatives, and I concur with the comments already made. I personally, if I have the opportunity to attend, will wear a few hats to this conference, and to expand outside of, as we've talked about, the economic opportunities of the mountain bike trail. as Chair of Sport and Recreation and a part of the 2032 Olympics Task Force, I'm keen to understand the opportunities available for attracting training camps to our region in the lead up to and beyond Brisbane 2032, and what plans and infrastructure other regions are putting in place to prepare for this. And also, as the Deputy Chair of the Mountain Bike Alliance, I've been exploring how to mobilise our region's youth to develop biking skills and grow a base for the sport. I'm keen to speak with other regions how they've approached this and what success or challenges they've experienced as well. And to Councillor Bonaventura's point, I'm an avid multi-day hiker and observe firsthand the economic benefits derived from well-planned, well-designed and well-maintained trails, walking trails in particular, but also, as you said, biking trails. So I also believe that now is the time to be looking forward at complementary activities to the Pioneer Valley Mountain Bike Trail. We already have the Mackay Highlands Great Walk, and I'll be honest, in my experience, it does need some attention to take it from good to great, and to make it a real destination and activity of choice for adventure tourists. There are potentially some quick and inexpensive wins, as you spoke about, Councillor Bonaventura, and especially in regards to wayfinding and historical and cultural storytelling and improved user experience. And in the program, I'm very excited to hear from and network with Greg Carter from Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service, who's speaking about the Scenic Rim Walking Trail, Dr. Ali Anderson, who will discuss the multi-day walker market and their needs, and Kylie Rahui Karawana, who will focus on cultural storytelling and trails, to name but a few of the great opportunities for learning and networking in this space. I think it's going to be very valuable for everyone who attends. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Green. Are there any other speakers? Councillors, I think this is important. This is sustainable trails does it for me, and this is very important for us as we embark now on, and as we are doing, embarking on our discussions with Whitty and Yui in terms of cultural heritage and sustainability from their perspective as well. So this is the largest conference of its type in Australia and New Zealand, and I think it's very important that we are represented there. And I'm very pleased to see the number of councillors wanting to go. So I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.3.1, Community and Client Services Monthly Review.
Miss one.
Did I miss one?
It works.
I've already turned over. There you go.
No, it doesn't.
Capital Works. Righto. Our Capital Works Program. Director.
Thank you, Your Worship. Capital Works report being presented. No lost time injuries in the month, which has been good to see. I will talk a little bit more in the report about safety as we get into the incidents, because there is some concerning numbers there. Year-to-date capital spend is at 13.3, which is around about 94% of our forecast for the month. You have a list of projects there completed, which is about 7. In the projects in progress that you can see following that, we still have quite a number of projects that were meant to be completed in month that were not. They're largely around very small portions of work that are not complete or documentation that's not complete, so we're not comfortable having the work handed over to us yet. So it is a source of frustration still for all of us involved. You know, Wallen Street Drain, the Marla Water Treatment Plant, Milton Archibald Street Project, Sydney Street Water Main, and the Pioneer North Bank Shared Path in particular are projects that should have been completed months and months ago. And, although they're very, very close to completion, we are working with those contractors to get those over the line as quickly as we can. Just on safety, on page 108 of the electronic documentation, we can see 11 incidents there, and the graph at 1.2 shows a bit of a spike there, and as the CEO reported in her report, we have 56 across the organisation. It can represent really good reporting, which is good to see, and those numbers do come up when we focus on reporting. But when you dig into the information there, we do have some, I believe, incidences that we can focus on a little bit more and bring down, just in terms of simple practices that we have in our workspace. For example, lifting methodologies, wearing gloves would avoid the splinter in the finger, those sorts of simple things. So we will refocus on that with our teams. And we're also having a few incidences involving, contractors and and the like, and again, that's a focus for us going forward. The other good thing to see, and finally, after quite a lot of probably years that we've been trying to get a contractor to complete these works, is the Goose Ponds and Seaforth Creek works that are underway at the moment and well underway, and the contractor, the Salos, is working on those. So happy to present the report and take any questions you wish.
Thanks, Director. Questions? Councillor Mann.
So electronic page 113 in regard to creating new projects in various council systems. So I wondered if that takes a long time to do, and if there's a way that that could be streamlined.
Director.
Yeah, so I suppose there's a couple of components to those systems. That one of them is our system hub, which we developed internally ourselves around about the time when the capital directorate was formed, and been, I suppose, in operation for a couple of years now. That brought together for the first time a hub, as it suggests, for all of our capital projects and understanding what phase of the project those are in, and all the information contained within the initiation of that project sits within those. But I guess they are fairly resource heavy. Our PMO works full time on that and understanding the inputs into that, and also works at producing the reporting that comes out of it. And there are, I suppose, always improvements that can be made in streamlining that system. The other system that is mentioned there is Empower, which is our software tool, I suppose, and that brings together the EPMF process and some reporting around that, and particularly a focus on reducing the number of programs that we have to draw data from to report on our capital. At the moment, it's about 5 different programs that data sits in. We're trying to bring it all down to 2. One of them will be Empower, where that data sits. So that represents the streamlining that you mentioned that we are looking for going forward, and we're still in, I suppose, trial phase, but we're very close to bringing that into live.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had 2 questions. I have to say, through the Director's overview, I'm not sure whether or not he actually said one of these, and I just disconnected for a moment, but he'll tell me whether he did or not. Page 117, looking at the revised date for the Kamala water treatment plant, and I asked whether or not in late August it actually went ahead. I think the answer is no, but can you answer any further on that?
Yeah, we didn't get that switch over to the main supply completed from that plant. We had documentation and we were all prepared to do that, but we didn't get the reviews of that documentation signed off in time by the relevant engineer. So that's happening now, and we're hoping by the end of this month that will happen and we'll get that supply switched over.
Okay. And my second question, Your Worship, 128, the Morani Community Precinct project. It's been one of those ones that's been bubbling along quietly, and it's been quite a while since we've had a briefing on where we're up to, and I just wanted to ask why we don't have a working group as such where there's a councillor on this. This is one of our major projects, and we do have, you know, a steering group or an advisory group like the Mountain Bike one or the Northern Beaches Community Hub, but we don't have any councillors attending, you know, that type of level of meeting. So I'm wondering whether or not that's something that could be done.
Well, are we still very operational in this project at the moment? Or?
Oh, where we're at is very close to the end of detailed design, so that will mean it's a shovel-ready project, and shovel-ready meaning we can go for funding at the next opportunity. But I suppose the next part of that answer is it really comes back to our priorities as council for all of our major or signature projects, and you know, where this one sits with the mountain bike park and the waterfront and other projects that are humming along at the moment. So I guess in terms of status, it's ready to go. I do believe there has been some consultation, not necessarily a working group involving councillors, but some consultation where some councillors are being across what's happening on it. But yeah, certainly if we got funding and we went live with the project, then you would have a working group of some sort that moves forward.
So yeah, maybe we could bring a short briefing to council just as an update.
Yeah, certainly might offer a comment on
Sure,
this one as well.
absolutely.
This is potentially more relevant for the prior term of council, Councillor Jones recognised, but we did have what I would term a community reference group of sorts that did meet periodically around the development of the Morani Community Precinct and what was to go into it. with a lot of the businesses and organisations that were interested in potentially utilising some of the space. So that was done over probably a period of a couple of years. And that did involve a number of councillors that were sitting at the time that would attend those meetings and contribute into that forum. So that was, I suppose, the way that we did it for that project, which replicates to a degree what we've done with the community home.
Thank you.
Further questions? Councillor Seymour?
There's no mention in the report about Stage 3 of Lawn Road, Creek Street. And when is it expected to start?
Director, can you answer that? Or?
I'll take that one on notice and get back to you about the updated dates on that, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yep.
Further questions? Councillor England?
Just a curiosity, Your Worship. The 3D scanning on page 115, is that our technology or contractors?
No, we do have that capability in-house, and we do supplement that with some contractor work for bigger facilities. But yes, we do have that 3D scan.
Cool, thank you.
No further questions? Somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Green moves, seconded by Councillor Jones. Councillor Green.
Yes, thank you. Today I'd like to highlight the recreational projects that are currently underway in the Capital Works program. So the Pioneer River North Bank Shared Path, Stage 1 is almost complete, and the recent activities there were the landscaping activities to the works areas, turfing, handrail installation, boardwalk installation, decking installation, a tidy up of the site and some landscaping maintenance activities. The second stage comprises a mixture of 3 metre wide concrete shared paths, some boardwalk and various size connecting paths from the western sides of the Bruce Highway from Sam's Road intersection to the Goose Ponds existing pathway, and project activities going on there at the moment are the project award, mobilisation to site and clearing of trees for footpath installation. And furthermore, on this project, the design services commenced detailed design for the last 4 stages in this shared path project. It is a link between the Mater Hospital and Cremorne for both commuter and recreational use, forming part of the Mackay Principal Bikeway Network, and it's jointly funded with TMR. Notable recreation designs in progress is the design of the Alsatia Park in Walkerston, the upgrades stages 1 and 2, Camilleri Park in Amiens Blacks Beach, upgrade stage 3, and Woodlands Park in Beaconsfield, playground and track. And I just would really like to make the comment about the Amiens Blacks Beach shared path. It's now complete, and it is proving to be enormously popular with the community. I've lived there for 2 years in this area, and I've not seen that many kids scooting, biking and walking to school, which is a fantastic result for them. And also the number of community that are actually using this for exercise has dramatically improved, and I'm hearing great feedback from lots of residents about this well-needed connector. So well done, and thank you to everyone involved in all the teams that brought this to fruition, and it was a much-needed project. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Green. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Jones speaking for.
Thank you, Worship. The one thing that probably stood out for me, and it was originally a question that I asked of the Director, but it was to do with the tender being awarded to Vasalos for the Seaforth Esplanade project. The works were due to commence early September, and I double-checked, yes, they've started. So I just wanted to say how exciting it is for our wider, greater community who now know that that's moving ahead, and also the fact that they'll be able to visit that as a place with their families over the weekends. But how exciting it is also for the local community that they're finally getting to see that the works is going to happen, and we're going to get there for sure. So yeah, that was all, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Any other speakers? Councillor Seymour speaking for.
Yeah, Mr. Worship. Thank you. It's good to see the Capital Works project slowly but surely progressing. In today's climate, resource, labour and materials is a major concern. Projects running over time. One project I've followed closely is the River Seaford development, especially the refurb of Maria's Donkey. The building over the years has deteriorated, especially in foundations and subfloor. The refurb of the building is in the early design stages to be brought back to life. The biggest hurdle will be accessing it due to the tides and limited working space. blowout of this budget is to be expected as long as it doesn't over-capitalise the end project. Looking forward to viewing the final plans.
Thanks very much, Councillor Seymour. Are there any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion then. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.3.1, the Client and Community Services Monthly Review for August. Acting Director, Sue.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's my pleasure to present the Community Client Services Monthly Report for August. It's pleasing that there were no lost time injuries during the month. There were 13 safety incidents involving staff, contractors and members of the public reported. Safety remains a priority for the Directorate. The Mackay Disability Expo was held at Mackay Showgrounds last month. The Expo hosted 60 stallholders and welcomed more than 1,000 visitors on the day. Corporate communications and marketing played a key role in promoting the Expo, including its new location at the Showgrounds. And we had a member of our community engagement team on hand on the day to talk to visitors about Council's signature projects. Emergency management also had a stall at the Expo to promote emergency preparedness. Book Week's always an exciting time for Mackay families and a busy one for parents helping the kiddies with their costumes. Libraries hosted their annual Book Week, Picnic in the Gardens event in the Mackay Regional Botanic Gardens, and there was an array of creative costumes on display. It was another busy month for the Met team, which successfully delivered the RACQ CQ Rescue Gala dinner for more than 530 guests, with about $240,000 raised. The MEC also welcomed more than 4,400 patrons through its doors during the 75th annual Mackay at Stedford. We're now looking forward to the October at Stedford. August was also a busy month at Art Space, including school tours. In total, 260 students participated in guided tours of the gallery during the month. Council also hosted Her Excellency the Honourable Dr Jeanette Young, ACPSM Governor of Queensland, and Professor Graham Nimmo, RFD, on their first regional tour of the Mackay region. Last month, our corporate comms and marketing team coordinated evening civic reception at the MEC, a community breakfast in Serena, and a community lunch at the Botanic Gardens to help ensure the visit was a memorable one. Our dog and cat registrations are on the rise. From the start of the animal registration renewal period on June 1 to the end of August, the numbers of new and renewed cat and dog registrations has continued to increase compared to previous years, and the total number of animals registered in our region at the end of August is 15,189. And the 6th red bench for our region, raising awareness about domestic and family violence, was installed at Gordon White Library during August. The bench comes equipped with a QR code linking visitors to the domestic and family violence information page on the MRC website. Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. I'm happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you, Acting Director. Are there questions for the Acting Director? Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to ask, on page 150 we have our museums and we get the numbers, and I know that they're not always, sometimes they're closed, sometimes they're open, because we're relying on our volunteers to do that. And we get the month by month thing, but I was just wondering whether or not it might be okay with the council, whether or not we might be able to do an annual graph showing visitation, just like we do with the pools over a 12-month period. I'd just like to see that, bigger view, I guess, of rather than just every month and then I have to go back and look. If we can have that. Is that possible?
Absolutely. Data's there, so yeah, we can drive that in. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Worship.
Other questions? Councillor England.
Thank you, Worship. The Acting Director has never had to deal with my line of request before, so I'll take note that he's never had to deal with this. But in previous reports, I've asked that the SES unit hours are totalled. We're in an age now where data is king, and this report also goes to the Strategic Advisory Group, which depends heavily on data. And so from my point of view, I'd like to see, I understand, and for two reasons, we need the data, and also to realise that it's my understanding that our local controller is doing a fantastic job improving recruit numbers and hours, but we can't see the increase. We can't reconcile what's actually happening with just the numbers in their current form. So I've said previously that the SES operational capability has no value to councillors until the Strategic Advisory Group is able to put it into context of actual numbers, as been discussed there. But in the short term, I'd be interested in what groups have what members and what groups are doing what hours with totals, so that I can look back at next month's report and go, cool. Of course, we've discussed that the numbers aren't everything, they fluctuate and that sort of thing, but without the totals, it's very difficult, I'm getting my calculator out every...
Okay, so the request is a similar one. I think that's doable because the data's there. So,
Well,
yes.
we used to do it like that, Your Worship, we just changed for some reason.
Yeah, I wonder if you might be able to put in a table with some sort of an arrow indicating if we've grown or shrunk membership and by how many month to month.
Yeah, look, that's fine, but I don't think it's fair on the local controller to take that at face. You can't take it at face value because the ebbs and flows of volunteering. That's not exactly what I'm after, but to do a deep dive at the end of every year, it would be helpful, I suppose, to have that data as well.
Okay. Further questions? No further questions? Okay, would somebody like to move then the adoption of the Community and Client Services Monthly Report? Councillor Townsend moves, seconded by Councillor Jones. Councillor Townsend?
Thank you, Your Worship. Book Week, as our Director said, it's a highlight of the year for our young ones and families alike, and this year was no exception. Of course, Picnic in the Garden at the Botanic Gardens was very well received by our public and supported, and our schools around the district also celebrated, and Councillor Bonaventura and I attended the Walkerston Primary State School, and I must acknowledge our librarian, Sally Jew, who did a fantastic job of emceeing and getting into the spirit of the morning with the children. She dressed up as a pirate. The kids really took a shine to her, and it was just very refreshing to see one of our staff getting into that spirit. Still on libraries, how great was it to see our mobile library team travel to Midge Point, McEwen's Beach, Seaforth and St Helens Beach to erect a pop-up library for the residents in these areas. This innovative idea came about due to our mobile library van currently undergoing adjustments in Brisbane. So for our regular users missing the easy access to our service, this was a great alternative. And I should add here that visitors staying in the Seaforth campgrounds commented what a great initiative it was to provide this service and for our team to keep up the good work. So kudos to our mobile library team. Artspace hosted the opening of a new exhibition of works by Veronica Zeal and several works from the Regional Council Art Collection and the Live Bird Press Archive. And I myself and several other councillors were privileged to attend the opening, and it was great to see the event so well attended. The impressive exhibition is available to our public until November 20. So I certainly recommend art lovers or even persons who just have an appreciation for art, visit Artspace while this exhibition is on display. Artspace also hosted several public programs. Two of note for me personally was BMA Kids Space, which saw 70 parents and their toddlers join local artists to participate in fun activities inspired by our current exhibitions and school tours. Must also acknowledge, of course, again, the staff at the MEC who successfully delivered the RACQ Rescue Ball, which saw a huge amount of 5:30 attend on the night. I believe it would be remiss of me, however, to not acknowledge and thank some of our council staff who filled roles and changed their hats on the night and assisted with food and drink service. They did a sterling effort and didn't hesitate to help out when called upon. So to those staff members, thank you. And finally, what a great privilege it was to meet our Governor of Queensland, Dr. Jeanette Young, along with Professor Graham Nimmo. They set a cracking pace on their first regional tour of the Mackay region, and they were genuinely impressed with the hospitality extended to them, and I'm sure we left a lasting impression for them to take home. And what a gracious lady is our Governor. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Townsend. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Jones, speaking for.
There were just 3 points that I wanted to pull out of the report. First of all, there was actually a question which I spoke to the director about, acting director, and the answer that was given to me, it's given me the opportunity to say thank you to the community. So on page 193, at the bottom of that page, there's a pie chart And there's a section of that pie chart that was coloured pink and it said other. So I asked the director, what does other mean? So the reply was that it was to do with illegal dumping that was cleaned up by unknown people. That basically means that they're our quiet achievers in the community that go out there when they see the illegal dumping and they actually just pick it up and take it home and put it in their wheelie bin. So I just wanted to say thank you to those people in our community that do that. The other thing, other two things that I wanted to mention was certainly the libraries and Children's Book Week and how it was celebrated across the country, and our theme being Dreaming with Their Eyes Open. So many costumes. I've attended them over the years and they're just fabulous. And I too have been a pirate at one point. But I did want to give a special shout out to the children authors that we have in our community. Kat Illich, Kim Clyden and Lisa Thompson, just to name a couple, that are inspired by the children within our community, and they produce these books and they're just outstanding. And lastly, on page 147, it was great to see Katamalagarina getting an opportunity to see what our community development staff do in their roles, because that then showed them the potential that should they decide to have a career in local government, they know what it's all about. Thank you, Worship.
Thanks very much, Councillor Jones. Councillor Green.
Thank you, Your Worship. So following discussions with the user groups and the stakeholders of the Serena Brewers Park Sports Precinct, it's been determined that the best option to achieve the implementation of the improvement projects into the future is to establish a Brewers Park Development Group, Your Worship. The group is created to represent the best interests of the Brewers Park user groups collectively, and the members will be selected based upon their skills, experience and their ability to contribute to the fulfilment of the group's responsibilities. Your Worship, the desired skills and experience of the members would include things like construction experience, governance, planning, financial management, etc. So the next step is to call for expressions of interest for those wishing to be part of the group. So I strongly encourage anyone who is interested in the future development and sustainability of sports in the Serena region to apply, and it's anticipated that the new group will be formed by the end of the year. Furthermore, in sports and recreation, Active in the Regions programs is still going really well, bringing recreation opportunities to people living in our outer regions, as we always strive to bring equity of programs across the large Mackay regional footprint. And the Activate Mackay region program has recently started for this financial year. Most activities will remain the same. However, excitingly, a new session will be added for the evening markets at Blue Water Quay on a Thursday night, and that will help to activate this space even further. Expressions of interest have recently been sent out for this particular session. And finally, the 2021-22 program participation survey received a very favourable 4.63 average rating, really demonstrating the popularity and the benefits of the Activate Mackay region program. So congratulations to Council, Sport and Rec team and the fitness trainers for the work that they do in delivering these programs for our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Knight.
Thank you very much, Worship. I'll make it very short and sweet. I wanted to endorse Councillor Townsend's words around our staff changing roles and being part of the food and beverage team at the RACQ Rescue Gala Dinner. 530 people to serve in any setting is not easy, and our team did a fantastic job in delivering that function. I would also like to shout out to the Friends of the Mech. 4,400 patrons through the door for the Stedford. Again, there's no easy management feat, and I know that the dedication of our volunteers in the Friends of the Mech are committed to making sure that everybody gets looked after there. In regards to our visit from Her Excellency Dr. Jeanette Young, the Governor of Queensland, I really wanted to say a big thank you to the Arwal Medical Centre, and in particular Dr. Yamang Basson for his service on that morning when the Governor had a need to see a doctor. And not only his service at his surgery, he then went and picked up the medication that Dr. Jeanette Young needed and delivered it to the community breakfast. So it was, I think, something that Serena community can be very proud of, as well as the Mackay region. So I think, like having the opportunity to meet with the Governor, we had a number of great community events, and we had a number of, we had the civic reception. It's not very often you get the opportunity to host that, and I wanted to just thank also your office as far as the coordination of that went, and Robert Ryan, who I'm not sure whether he volunteered or was invited to chauffeur the Governor, Secretary and assistants around, and we just appreciate what they did.
Thank you very much, Councillor May. Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Worship. I just did want to touch on safety because there's something in the report that really disturbed me. So, no LTIs and 13 incidents, and I thank the Director for committing to work safely, but it is really disappointing to see that staff members being threatened or abused by non-staff members. That is so disappointing to see. It's appalling, and I just don't believe that it's on. Our staff members should be able to attend work and be safe without having to put up with that sort of behaviour. In terms of, I just want to talk about ArtSpace too. So their collection online received 100 page visits during the month, and they were users from Australia, US and the UK accessing the site. So that is really pleasing to see. There's currently 810 artworks published on the site, so there's something there for everybody, I'm sure, and just really good to see the engagement from around the world. I want to talk about dog and cat registrations that are on the rise, and just say to our residents, fantastic to see people practicing responsible pet ownership, because that part of that is registering your animals, and good to see that that rises month on month. And I did want to also touch on the 6th Red Bench for our region, really important initiative of the Red Rose Foundation, and their aim was to have as many visible benches around Queensland as what can be installed. And I can see from their website today, there's about 230 in locations right across Queensland, including really remote locations. So fantastic to see that people are supporting that initiative.
Thanks very much, Councillor Mann. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Hassan.
Thank you, Worship. I will be brief. I also wanted to mention the CQ Rescue Gala Ball, and yeah, again, kudos to our MEG team and all of the other staff that helped to support that. Feeding 530 people at once is outstanding. I did though want to acknowledge there was 10 of our SES volunteers that were able to attend that event. I think it's really important to be able to include all of our emergency services people, including those volunteers, and I just wanted to acknowledge that our state member for Mackay, Julianne Gilbert, actually funded for those tickets for those volunteers to be able to attend. Initially there was 8, and unfortunately on the around the event they had a family bereavement, which meant that there was 2 additional tickets. So 10 of our SES volunteers were able to attend. I just wanted to thank her for that opportunity.
Thanks very much, Councillor Hassan. Are there any other speakers? So before I put the motion, I'd just like to add my thanks to the staff who are very, very cooperative in arranging the Governor's visit to Mackay. Particularly my executive assistant, Dan Jeffrey. She made all the arrangements locally, and dealing with Government House is quite challenging at times because it's got to be down to the minute in terms of the Governor's visit. But I did receive a very nice handwritten card from the Governor, who did call out the assistance from the AWOL Medical Centre and Dr. Basan in particular, and she said it was one of the nicest regional visits we have participated in. So it was nice to see. All right, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.4.1, a petition response for the naming of Seagull Street Park at Slade Point. That petition has come before Council, of course, and it came on the 25th of August and was sent away for the officer's recommendation to come back. Are there questions around this? No questions around this? CEO, is there anything we need to add? Okay, it's fairly well straightforward. And the recommendation is that in considering the petition as previously received by Council on 25 August, requesting that the Seagull Street Park be renamed in honour of Nanaram Sammy, in line with Council's policy, which is the naming of infrastructure assets, that the renaming not be supported, and rather the Council works with the principal petitioner to achieve suitable park infrastructure installations, which might include a dedicated plaque as well, in accordance with the Council's standing policy. Would somebody like to move? Councillor Townsend moves. Councillor Green seconds. Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Your Worship. Firstly, I need to say here, I have known members and been friends with some of the Ramsamy family for many years, and I have met Nana Ramsamy and formed the deepest respect and admiration for her. Whilst I appreciate the family's sentiment of having a memorial to her life and work and her significance in our region, we have a policy in place that talks about the naming of infrastructure assets, and this request does not meet the policy. I personally would encourage the family to contact officers with the view to installing park furniture with a plaque at Seagull Street Park. I know Nana Ramsamy had a particular spot where she loved to sit and watch the ocean, so I feel this would be a very fitting tribute to her life, as well as a place where the family can gather on special family occasions. I therefore will be voting against this petition, as I firmly believe as councillors it is our responsibility to follow council policy, and it is my hope that all councillors will support this recommendation and how it relates to our policy.
Thank you very much, Councillor Townsend. Any other speakers? No, Councillor Jones, you're speaking for the motion.
Yes, Your Worship. So in similar sentiments to Councillor Townsend, we all know that the Ramsamy family are well known and well respected in the area. After speaking with Nana's grandson recently, who's accepting of the recommendation today, I'm aware that there is now a GoFundMe page to fund a bench seat with Nana's name on that will be installed in Seagull Street Park. The park was a favourite spot of Nana's to fish, and certainly in her later years just to sit and watch other families fish. She was very, very much respected and much loved member of our community, and I look forward to the bench seat being installed so that I too can sit and remember the great memories that I have with her. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Jones. Any other speakers? No other speakers. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.4.2 is the MCU, material change of use for the nature-based tourism with 7 self-contained recreational vehicles. It's an impact accessible application, lot 1 at Miran Khan Drive at Freshwater Point. We do have a member of the public wishing to speak to this one first in terms of our public participation. Mr. Nelson, the rules of engagement are you get 3 minutes. Yes. And it's not a two-way conversation. We're here to listen to you. And over to you.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, councillors. My name is Roger Nelson. I've actually grown up in Mackay all my life, and businessman here. I've had business here for 38 years. Just over a year ago, my wife and I stumbled upon a beautiful block of land down at Freshwater Point there, which we decided to buy as our retirement place. And being as it was, it's a beautiful area, zoned rural residential. We thought it's new beauty. We have got ourselves a beautiful piece of paradise. And no one's going to be able to build anything other than another residence beside us. Much to our dismay, there was a proposal put through to put a nature-based tourism park there, and which is, well, as far as I know, has to go through the council to get approved. And anyway, there was a lot of opposition through our local community. We got 78 signatures from the locals. We had numerous emails sent through in opposition to this, and by the looks of it, it still actually looks like it's going to probably get the go-ahead from the council. And from my perspective, I feel that the council hasn't done its job in listening to the locals. I think the locals, like 78 signatures opposing this, is a huge number considering the small community down there. And as a business in myself, I can honestly see the value of having businesses and opportunity and stuff like that, but I cannot see how a 7-site park can be financially viable as a business. I honestly can't see how that can be done. And the community itself, I don't think, can actually benefit from this as a community. So I'm totally in opposition to this, and myself, my wife, and we've got another couple of families actually prepared to take this a little bit further because we really don't want this to happen. So basically all I have to say about this. Okay.
Thanks very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Nelson. Appreciate it. Okay, are there questions around this report? Councillor May?
I've just got one question in regards to the proposal that there is no dwelling on the site presently, and reading the report, I don't see that there's a proposal to put a dwelling on the site. Am I understanding that correctly at this stage?
The site is currently vacant. A dwelling can go on the site at any time without the need for a development permit. So this site, this proposal is just for the 7 bed RV sites. It doesn't include a dwelling.
Can I just ask a further question?
Sure.
So in regards to that, how does they propose to manage the operations of the 7-site RV ecotourism park?
There are a number of conditions that relate to the ongoing management, and a number of these conditions do relate to, I guess, concerns that have been raised. So I'm just going to my conditions. There are conditions around needing management plans. I believe there's a requirement for someone to be within 30 minutes of the site in case they receive a call. So there are requirements in the conditions around the management to make sure that any issues that may arise are dealt with.
Thank you.
Further questions? Councillor Anglett.
Given that the application we have before us, where potentially either prior to the application or after, were there already restrictions on where a dwelling may or may not be built? Would they be more limited now under this application to put the building, a building to live on somewhere?
Director.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. They would obviously need to avoid the sites where they've got the actual sites designated. There's standard requirements for a dwelling are around your setbacks and different things like that. I'm not sure if any of the overlays would impact. We'd have to work through that, look at the specific proposed location of the dwelling. But yes, certainly if part of the site has been taken up with another development, that would impact that dwelling.
Are there further questions? CEO, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
No, I don't think so.
Director, is there anything further do you want to add?
Yeah, I'd probably just like to say this originally started out as a proposal for 20 sites. Based on an assessment against the planning scheme, the impacts of the development, and certainly the feedback that was received from the community through the submissions, we've worked very closely with the applicant to make a number of changes to the application, substantially reducing the number of sites down to 7 from 20, and then also there's a number of conditions that are recommended to be imposed on any approval that, again, are there to address a number of the concerns and impacts that were raised, either arising from the planning scheme itself or through the submissions that were received.
Councillor Anglett, do you have another question?
Yes, thank you, Bishop. It's my understanding under the current application that if we rejected it and the owner would have grounds to take us to court and potentially win on the application as it is.
Well, that's right. Director or CEO, Director?
Okay, yes, thank you, Worship. Certainly, if council were to refuse the application, there would be the ability for an appeal to be lodged by the applicant. Conversely, if council approves it, there is appeal rights that apply to the submitters in relation to any council decision as well. So, that is a risk in any planning matter for the decision by council, whether it's an approval or refusal to be appealed. What officers have done here is they've assessed the application and they have, based on their professional opinion, put forward what they consider is a reasonable recommendation that would be defendable should this matter go to planning and zoning court.
Further questions? Councillor Bonaventura?
And just in relation to appeal rights from submitters, does that date back to the original lodgement or just from the recent? This goes back to the original lodgement. Anyone that is submitted from the original time this was lodged can be part of that appeal?
The submitters are, it's anyone who made a properly made submission through the formal submission process will have appeal rights.
So the officer's recommendation is 27 paragraphs long and has a lot of conditions attached to it. There's no further questions. If there's no further questions, would somebody be prepared to move? Councillor Bonaventura moves. Is there a seconder? Councillor Jones seconds. Councillor Bonaventura.
Oh, thank you, Worship. I think it's all been said. This has gone round for quite a long time, and I really do thank the staff for working firstly with the submitters over a period of time, with the developer of this site, to try and come up with something that's workable. I see 7 sites as very reasonable, and you know, is it viable to make a business out of it? Probably not, but it is viable for someone to eventually possibly build their own house there, live on site, and have that just as a small income during the period where it is busy and RVs want to camp on site. I think it suits our region. It gives more accommodation for those travelling right on the coast. I think it's a good move. Yes, there will be risks involved, but I think overall the benefits outweigh the risks. Happy to support it.
Thanks, Councillor Bollinger. Speaking against? Councillor Hassan speaking against.
Thank you, Worship. Taking into account all of the officer's recommendations, all of the conditions that have been placed on this, I'm still struggling. As Mr. Denhausen has just referred, this community is a small community, and I felt with the community consultation that was undertaken, the extent of the feedback, negative feedback from the community and the impact on such a small community, I'm just very hesitant. I understand the officer's recommendations. There's multiple conditions that have been placed on this, but myself, I'm just not confident of the benefit to the community and how we're going to maintain compliance around this. The viability of it as a business, I understand, is not our problem, not something we can base our decisions on, but I really struggle to see, this is quite an under-resourced community. There's very limited businesses and other services available within that community, so I struggle to be able to support this recommendation.
Speaker 4. Are there any other speakers?
Yeah, I better.
Councillor England, you're speaking against?
No, I'm actually speaking for Your Worship, and I want to be able to look at the submitter in the face to explain why.
You're right.
I'm pretty torn on the whole thing. There was a significant community objection to this development application, and if I was to just work on empathy alone, it would be easy to try just knock this back. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury. I've looked at reasons to lay it on the table. There's no justifiable reason to lay it on the table. I've looked for ways to do an alternative motion. There's no justification for an alternative motion. If I was to make a decision to go against it, would be purely emotive, and I can't make decisions at this table on my emotions. There are significant conditions to it. I acknowledge the significant community objection, and I still don't know if I'm making the right decision now or not.
You need to address the point.
Sorry, Your Worship. Yep. But if I look at it from a purely logical point of view, if we reject the application, the owner has the right to appeal, as does the submitter, and you know, all the logic tells us that there would be a significant financial loss to the organisation if we went to court, because we would lose. So unfortunately, even though I'm personally against it, there's no reason within our policy to vote against it.
Thanks, Councillor England. Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? Councillor May, you're speaking for?
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and I too am very much torn between saying no to this but supporting the officer's recommendation. And as we know, in any planning matter, that the officers have the book of rules. They need to make those assessments against the codes and the overlays that sit within the planning scheme. If there's any benefit to this, it's been reduced from 20 sites down to 7. I think I have concerns around there being nobody on site in the management of this particular development. The community consultation was very thorough. We went there on our council and community day to listen to the residents, and we heard loud and clear. And that's why our officers came back and worked with the applicant to be able to get to a solution that met the planning requirements. And as we know, to say no to a planning development and not have the grounds to say no is just something that we as council cannot do. So as I sympathise with the residents, I have spoken with the residents on telephone yesterday, and I hear their concerns, but purely from a planning perspective, it meets all of the requirements from the planning scheme, and our council is bound to endorse those recommendations from our officers. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor May. Are there any other speakers? Councillors, this has been a well-discussed and well-consulted motion to get to this far to council. Unfortunately, I can't support it. I can't support the fact that, and it's really difficult for me to say as the Mayor in terms of what the officers have recommended, but the officers are bound by our Act and by our planning scheme. And the planning scheme, in my view, has got it wrong in this area of our land in terms of Freshwater Point. Regardless of whether it's able to make money or not, that is not our concern. Our concern is one of a community issue, and I apologise to our staff who are bound by our planning scheme, but I simply can't support this motion. So I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. And we'll record mine and Councillor Hassan and Councillor Green and Councillor Mann. Motion is carried. Okay. The facilitating development, 11.4.3, facilitating development in the Mackay region policy, Yulcom Proprietary Limited, the material change of use for the childcare centre and the reconfiguration of a lot at the Eden Academy Childcare at 1 to 11 Carl Street in Rural View. There's the recommendation for approval here at 50% plus some concessions and 3 conditions attached to this. Fairly straightforward. Are there questions around this? No questions? Would somebody like to move then? Councillor Hassan moves, seconded by Councillor Green. Councillor Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we're all aware of the lack of childcare facilities in our region, and to see another childcare centre being opened up, particularly in the area that is really pleasing to see. I don't think it's too much else to add, and I really support this recommendation. I'm happy to see it proceed.
Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? Yes, Councillor Green speaking for.
Yes, speaking for. Yeah, just to give a little more context around this, this is the construction of a 100-place childcare facility for 0 to 5-year-olds fronting Arana Drive. So to put that into geographical context, this is right across the road from the Iveo State Primary School. And from my own experience, the ability to drop one child to one service and one child to the school while just parking in the one spot is enormously beneficial to very busy families, both during the pickup and the drop off and the pickup. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity for the Northern Beaches. It definitely fills that gap of childcare services that we know are out there, and very pleased to support this recommendation.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.4.5, the facilitating development of Mackay region policy, once again for the Whitsunday Anglican School. It's an MCU again for Kate Street, yeah. 11.4.4. Oh, getting trigger happy. So it's the Higgins Designer Homes. It's an MCU for multiple dwellings at Kate Street. Once again, similar recommendations in terms of the previous MCU and facilitating development. Are there questions? Somebody like to move? Councillor Green moves, seconded by Councillor May. Councillor Green.
Thank you, Worship. So the applicant Higgins Designer Homes is applying for policy concessions for their Kate Street units development at 10 Kate Street, East Mackay, for the construction of 3 two-storey, 3-bedroom units. They're seeking concessions estimated at around $30,000 and a reduction in their water and sewage connection service fees under the Facilitating Development in the Mackay Region Policy, Schedule 7, Housing Diversity. So the estimated total capital investment is 1.2 million, resulting in a total economic impact of 2.4 million. utilising local contractors and suppliers. And the project is estimated to generate a total of 5 full-time equivalent jobs during construction. But what gets me excited about this development though is the social and regional benefits brought about by adding a much needed mix to the housing diversity and affordability in our region. As we know, many residents are under enormous housing pressure, and although it's not council's core business to provide affordable housing stock, this policy is a critical lever that council does have to influence the housing stock by enticing developers to build in our region a more diverse offering of housing. So this is really showing the value of this policy in play. So the site is located within easy access to schools, employment and recreational facilities. It addresses a current shortage in the market for 3-bedroom units and supports inner city development. And it also supports development to encourage further investment and development in the Mackay waterfront PDA, which is another critical project of council. So for all of these reasons that I've spoken about, I'm very pleased to give my support. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Speaker against? Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Now 11.4.5, which is the Whitsunday Anglican School MCU for an educational facility, kindergarten expansion and the Resource Science and Design Centre at 3 to 16 Sullivan Drive. Questions? No questions? Would somebody like to move then that the 11.4.5 officer's recommendation be adopted? Councillor Englert moves, seconded by Councillor Hassan. Councillor Englert.
Thank you, Your Worship. Whitsunday Anglican School is a non-government day and boarding school catering for students from kindergarten to year 12. This is about meeting the growing community needs in prep kindergarten space for an additional 22 students and a new science and design centre for the mature age school students. Total project is $11.5 million and they've requested 100% concession. The Schedule 6 allows for that to happen in this case, and it fits the criteria. Ultimately, it's even though the project costs $11 million, there'll be an effect of $15 million across the community. The conditions are it must be built by next year, and local contractors and suppliers must be employed. So it fits the policy and it allows growth in the region. It's a good application.
Thanks very much, Councillor Englert. Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? Councillor Green, speaking for.
Yeah, speaking for, so again, I always really like to highlight the social and regional benefits of this, what this policy helps to derive, not just the economic benefits, and in particular, the Resource Science and Design Centre. So this is a fantastic, what sounds like a fantastic classroom laboratory facility that again just helps to build upon the capabilities of our region to provide those pathways for our students into those future skills and future jobs. So this is a really key part of building that capability, and I think it's a really fantastic project that they've outlined here. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Are there any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. There's no petitions, no tenders, no notified motions. Public participation we don't have.
Organisation services.
This one again.
Org services.
You're not on the ball today.
All my numbering system's gone out, I think. So, all right, there we go. Jeez. Glasses or something. Adoption of council policies. 2 policies, the children and young people at risk management policy. That's policy number COU 103, and 109 is the encroachment on public land. Right, are there questions around the policies? No questions around the policies. Would somebody like to move the adoption of our policies? Councillor Jones moves, seconded by somebody. Councillor May. Councillor Jones.
Are we doing them together or one at a time? Just together?
No, the motion is to do both of them together.
Right,
That's the motion.
we can do that. So the children and young people risk management policy, I was pleased to see that this is a new policy and pleased to see that we have this. I had asked the director about the blue cards or yellow cards as councillors because we're now mentioned in this document as. So I just want to remind all councillors that if we haven't put our blue cards forward, we need to. And on the encroachment one, Your Worship, I just wanted to say that all of my councillor life, I felt very strongly about public land is public land and that should be used for the public. So I'm pleased that the officers have been able to work through this. It's been an arduous task for them to get to this point, but happy to move forward with the recommendation. Thank you.
New speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Green, speaking for.
Yes, thank you. Yes, just quickly on the encroachment on public land, as Councillor Jones said, it has been arduous, it's quite complex, and I would really like to thank the staff for their efforts in bringing councillors along on this journey and the briefings that have been afforded to us and the collaborative effort to really ensure that we know what we're endorsing here today, and that's been so important on a policy such as this. So I'd like to thank the staff for those efforts. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other speakers? Councillor May, speaking for.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Yes, too, I would like to endorse those comments because this has been a problem for council over many, many years, and to finally be able to arrive at a policy that council's been fully briefed with along the way, the discussions around the categorisations of the encroachments, the remedy to repair or fix or remove those encroachments is all outlined in good detail within our policy. So it really sets the basis now for us moving forward as a council to be able to have that outlined, and the officers then can, I suppose, reference back to that policy. Where does this fit? What is the treatment of that? And it takes out all of the emotion that normally comes with these types of things. So to endorse the policy today, I think is a good way forward.
Thanks, Councillor May. Any other speakers? Other speakers will put the motion then. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Yeah, what have I missed?
Where would you like to go now?
Receipt of petitions. We don't have any. No tenders. Consideration of notified motions. There's none. No participation from the public listed. Late business. Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would just like to bring to attention that September is the Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and I think there's a large chunk of our community that know about the Trudy Crowley Community Cancer Support Centre, and I'd like to do a plug for them because as chairperson of this amazing organisation, we have opened the doors in February of this year that offers support to women undergoing cancer treatment for ovarian cancer. We've also opened that up to gynecological cancers or any type of cancer, and our centre provides a counsellor, a palliative care nurse. We have one on our staff and one volunteer, and we have a wig room which is dedicated to our ladies that are undergoing their treatment and want to look and feel their best. All of these services from our centre are free, and I really think that this is probably something our community should be extremely proud of. It's not widely done in Australia, so to start that from very humble beginnings and grow to where we are today, where we have this service, I'm extremely proud of. And I would just like to say September Ovarian Cancer Awareness. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Townsend, and congratulations for your work with what you've been doing there on the Trudy Crowley Foundation and also the Community Cancer Centre. Outstanding. Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Worship. I've got two events that are happening on Friday. We see the final announcement of the winners of the International Men's Day art competition. I had the great privilege to open that art show over at the Mackay Art Society, and the finalists have been moved to the Botanic Gardens gallery, and those announcements will be made on Friday. The other thing that's happening in our region this weekend is the arrival of the Gold Coast Suns for their game against St Kilda on Saturday. We have a number of civic functions to engage with the Gold Coast Suns, and it's great to see them coming here to Mackay region.
Absolutely. Thanks, Councillor May. Councillor Matt.
Your Worship. I wanted to highlight a couple of things too. So Friday night was the Touch of Teal soiree, and the guest speaker, if you like, credited our staff member Regine Doherty for saving her life. So as we know, Regine is sadly walking the journey of ovarian cancer, and as an ambassador for the Trudy Crowley Foundation, she speaks at a lot of places around our region, and this particular lady, Anne Brunke, happened to be at an event and heard Regine speak, was worried about her daughter in actual fact because she had no risk factors. But was encouraged to still go and see her doctor and try and to ask for testing. Her blood test showed no issues, but she still pushed to have the further testing done with an ultrasound and did in fact find out that she had ovarian cancer. She's classed as a survivor at this point in time, and I guess that will be further known down the track as she continues to test negative. And I know that it was everybody's wish on the night that that would happen for her. But it's just been so vital, the work that Regine has done around our region, and to be so selfless when she is going through the very invasive treatment that she has been through is a credit to her. And I know everybody on the night was just so thankful that she's done what she's done around the region. The other thing that I wanted to highlight too was this Sunday at West, Special Olympics Mackay are going to have their Queensland team uniform presentation. As you know, I'm associated with the Special Olympics Mackay as a committee member, and it will be really lovely to have as many people in attendance to see the athletes receive their uniforms. They get such a kick out of people coming and watching them play, but also to see these special ceremonies too. So I hope that as many people as possible can get there on Sunday afternoon.
Thanks, Councillor Matt. Are there any other speakers for late business? Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. It's been a very busy weekend for councillors getting around the region. I was up at the Valley for the Cane Country Ball. The Cane Country Ball was lucky enough to receive funding from the Community Grants Program from Council, which they are very grateful for, to be able to put on this event. It was a wonderful night. One in a year chance that I would be in a dress, which was quite unusual, but anyway, it was my favourite colour, that's the main thing. But the event was lovely. We had Mango Junction up there, the food was great, everybody had a wonderful time, and it's the opportunity to be able to recognise special people in the community up there that were nominated for the Spirit of the Valley Award, of which Mr Norm Drew received the award for this year. So I do know that in the perfect world, when we approve funding to go to events, know that we have some, should I say, organisations that continually hit council up year after year after year for funding, which isn't really what our community grants is all about. This is the first time that this event has been funded, and I do know that the financial outcome of this event is that it's definitely got a considerable amount of money to be able to assist them with running the next year's event, so that they're not coming back constantly asking council for money, and I'm very proud of the committee for doing that. So yeah, so Norm Drew, great event, Mango Junction, Councillor Jones in a dress, done and dusted.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Councillor Green.
Yes, thank you. A lot of talking today. So last week was Suicide Prevention Week, and I'd like to highlight two events that occurred. The first being the Australian premiere screening of My Ascension. So Barb Hill Coaching, along with Sonia from Mad Cow Coffee and Run for My Life, have come together to create those conversations between teenagers and their family, those conversations that we really need to be having today. Unfortunately, I was unable to make this event as much as I wanted to be there, but I have heard that it was fantastic. So the screening was about a teenager in the States who attempted to take her life, and the resulting fallout from that and where she is now. And it was also then into the lived experience, there was a discussion after with those with lived experiences, etc., in a really safe and supportive space. And I've heard that, yeah, the conversations that started and are ongoing, and those people who heard about it and want to know more about it. So that's really a great result there. The Light Up the Lake event, it's in its 4th year now. It started with only 35 people sitting on the far side of the wake house, and this year there were 200, I'd say at least, people there coming out to support other people who have also gone through the trauma of either the lived experience of losing a loved one, having attempted suicide themselves and are survivors, or also those who are struggling at the moment and knowing that there's hope and support out there. So again, Sonia from Mad Cow Coffee, born out of her own traumatic lived experience, she is just so dedicated to having these conversations, showing support to the community and hopefully saving lives. So thank you to Sonia, her beautiful family and her herd, which also includes Run for My Life, Real Mates Talk, Barb Hill Coaching, and I know that the Mayor, Councillor Mann and Councillor Hassan were also there on that night. It was a beautiful evening. I know that it's only going to get more and more support each year to have these important conversations in our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Any further late business? No further late business? We don't have any confidential reports to you. No, there we go. That's very good. So thanks very much, councillors. Thank you, CEO. Thanks, directors. Declare the meeting closed.